Hey everyone, Chris here from Real Rideshare Stories. If you're new to the channel and you're looking for different things within the rideshare industry, whether it's news, tips and tricks for passengers and drivers, or what actually happens on real rideshare rides, start now by hitting that subscribe button and ring the bell for notifications. And also make sure to check the description below for other helpful information and tips. So I got a pretty crazy story for you today coming out of Long Island, and this is where a Uber driver was used as a getaway vehicle. So it is always good to know this, and unfortunately things like this do happen, but being smart and being safe and paying attention to what's going on around you could also help you from having any of these issues. So let's get right into the article. And also, if you want to read this article in full, you can click the link in the description below and it'll take you right there. So as the title states, shoplifter hijacks Uber for wild getaway while also wearing ankle bracelet. And that's a good thing because it leads cops right to him. So not the smartest person, but hey, at least that's a good thing towards getting this guy right away. All right, so a Long Island man hijacked an Uber to use as his getaway card, apparently forgetting that he was still wearing his monitoring bracelet from his last bust. What an upstanding citizen he is. So it led cops straight to him. Acosta, who's 35, had been arrested less than a week earlier for smoking crack in his car. And he took an Uber to the Westbury Target in Nassau County around 6 p.m. Thursday and told the driver to wait. And that's a pretty typical thing right there where, you tell the driver to wait when you have a multiple stop. Nothing before that necessarily maybe, but that's just a pretty typical thing. So unbeknownst to the Uber worker, Acosta was going inside the store to swipe goods and putting them in the shopping cart. Then he walked out of the store without paying for them, and he was followed by a security guard. So once he realized that, he let the cart go and ran to the car. And this is where it got pretty interesting because this is where there's a couple of things you can do, but I'll read the story first and then we can talk about it afterwards. So he hopped into the Uber, but the driver, who's a 28-year-old unnamed man also, had seen what was going on and refused to drive him, so he got out of the car. Acosta got into the driver's seat with the Uber driver, then getting into the passenger seat. So he just got back in, but into the passenger seat. And so Acosta started slowly driving off as the Uber driver struggled with him, then threatening the Uber worker with a gun. And so then that person got out of the car. And so, yeah, this is pretty interesting right there. Couple of things what you want to do. First, always be aware of your surroundings. So this guy, whoever he was smart for that. But there's a couple of things that he didn't do that he probably could have. And that was, first, lock your car. So if you see somebody like that and you see some altercation and security guards coming out and you have stuff or whatever happens, and it makes you raise an eye at it, lock your doors. Don't let them in, because if you lock the doors, you can't get in. But since he had the doors still open, he was able to get into the passenger seat. And then the other thing was, too, when the driver refused, he didn't pull his keys out or turn the car off. So that's one thing that you want to do as well, too. If you're ever in some sort of circumstance where you need to leave your vehicle right away, make sure you turn your vehicle off and grab the keys so you can't have them start the vehicle in any instance. So they can't use the car as a getaway car. They can't carjack you or anything like that. So those are a few tips there if you are ever in some sort of event like this. But yeah, it's pretty crazy nonetheless. And what's really funny is because he was wearing that ankle monitoring bracelet, he was later tracked down outside his house sitting in a taxi cab. So thanks to the monitoring bracelet he had to wear since his last arrest, again, very upstanding citizen. He allegedly had crack, a pipe, and marijuana on him when he was arrested for this shoplifting incident as well. So unfortunately, he needs some sort of rehab because he's clearly an addict. So hopefully he can get the help he needs, but also, you know, not the smartest bulb in the pack there. So at least he was found, arrested, and yes, the Uber vehicle was returned and recovered, which was found in Hempstead. And because of all this, Acosta was charged with robbery, petite larceny, and possession of a controlled substance, and he was arraigned on Friday. All right, so what do you think? What are some recommendations that you would make if you ever found yourself in some sort of situation, either just like this or very similar to it? Comment below and let me know. Now, unfortunately, things like this do actually happen from time to time and can make the news. So if you want to see other reports of something like this happening, you could just easily do a search online for it, and you'll probably see quite a few things come up from the past few years. But one of the biggest things is, again, make sure you lock your doors and pay attention to everything going around you. Also, I made a video about a week or so ago on defense tips when you are driving. I'll leave a link up here and in the description that you can check that video out so you can get some tips. But one of the big things that I would recommend if you ever do have to get out of your vehicle quickly for any sort of reason, the biggest thing that you could probably do is work on it when you aren't driving. When you're just in your car, you know, maybe going to the store or something, try pulling your keys out and turning your car off, your phone out of where it's being held, all as quick as you possibly can, so it becomes very routine if you ever find yourself in some sort of situation where you need to actually allow yourself to get out of the car because of something happening. So that is one thing I strongly recommend doing, just so you get in that habit of something. And then also anything that you may need to kind of prep for or train for or something like that, you could say, just do it over and over as you need to until you feel comfortable having this muscle memory routine where it just comes secondhand to you. You don't even have to think about it. You know all the steps of what you have to do. And then that way, everything's okay. And that's what a lot of people do for training when they're doing some sort of defense training, either mixed martial arts or something along that nature. It's repetition, 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 and it becomes muscle memory. And then they train on period time, so then it stays fresh in their mind just in case something like that happens. But that is something I do strongly recommend doing, and it's just gonna make sure that you are going to be okay. And if you got to get out of your car, if you got to do something, whatever it might be, at least you'll have that muscle memory and been able to do it so you're not unsure, forget something or anything like that, if anything like this ever does happen. And also, I did have a ride where a passenger who was also a fellow driver had been used as a getaway vehicle for one of his rides. So it was a pretty interesting story that he was telling me, and I will make sure to put that dash cam footage up so you can watch that and hear his story, what he did and what happened. So stay tuned for that because that will be coming as well. All right, so that's the end of today's video. Hopefully you learned quite a bit when it comes to paying attention to your surroundings and also locking your doors to stay one step safer, just in the event something like this is ever to occur. Now make sure to subscribe and ring the bell for notifications so you'll be notified every time a new video is uploaded, as well as anytime I go live so you can participate in the live chat. We can hang out and have a good time and answer any questions you may have. Also, make sure to check the description below for other helpful information and tips. And as always, never drink and drive, always tip your drivers, and we'll see you next time.